Hello, this is Tom, aka Gedeon here for Tabletop Tap Room. And I was asked in December, it was suggested to me that I do a review of TSR in 2023. And I thought, oh yeah, that's a great idea. That would make a great video. Just review. Well, I started digging into the files, and wow, so many screenshots. And I just thought, I don't know that I want to just do it would just take too long. I mean, do we really want to waste 2 hours on this? I mean, at this point, no. So I thought I would do like a quick retrospective that would just cover the whole dirty story fairly quickly and bring us right up to date with what is happening with the court cases. Because there's been a few developments. Like I've been sitting on one little news item and I've not done a video on it just because I was like, let's just save up a couple of things. But since I'm doing a retrospective, I'll get to that. So something happened in one of the court cases, and I just didn't report on it. But we'll get to that at the end. But before we get there, I just want to say thanks for watching my video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. Thank you to the person that gave me the suggestion. I don't think they want me to name them, so I won't. And if I'm doing you a disservice by not giving you credit, I apologize. I just don't think my impression of you is that you're a private person and that you didn't want the publicity. So again, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon though. So the retrospective, let's just review new TSR in retrospective. So we had a fear when new TSR came on the scene. There was a fear that they would mishandle beloved properties. For me, it was the Star Frontiers trademark. Oh, somebody's doing Star Frontiers. And so there was a fear there that it would not be handled well by somebody who loves the game, who would do it well. Then there was the homophobic slurs that came out in a few, and whatever there in the early days. And so then there was a fear that the hobby would be misrepresented. Then you had delusions of Tin Pot despotism and homophobic and racial comments. You had doxing, you had alts, you had trolling, you had anonymous emails, you had a Nazi game designer, you had products that were not retail ready, that lacked editing and were incomplete, completely lacked important components for play. You had a tax fine leveled by the state of North Carolina. And immediately after that tax fine was leveled for $20,000, there was a GoFundMe for $20,000 to raise money to sue Wizards to take the content disclaimer off the legacy products. Under what legal theory you could get WotC to remove the legacy disclaimer? Nobody has any idea. But I think the fact that there was a $20,000 fine and then $20,000 was being raised might give us an idea what that really was all about. The Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum was founded with officers and investors in the name of Ernie Gygax Jr. and Duck Leeson. But then the narrative changed to Ernie and Duck are just volunteers. Justin's the only employee. The SLAP lawsuit came about with to silence Eric Tenkar. Then there was more alts, trolling, and anonymous emails, and suing Wizards. There was witness tampering and witness harassment. Not saying by anybody specific, but somebody within the new TSR orbit, obviously. Threats to sue anyone and everyone that questioned or criticized new TSR or Justin Lanassa. There was attempted blackmail of a witness, by an anonymous emailer. There was a false police report of theft against a federal witness. There was a forged NDA in a court affidavit in a federal case. Then there was more alts and trolling and attacks on children, children with special needs, wives, and grieving parents. Most heinously was the attempts to say, these are autopsy photos of your daughter that you killed, which was just heinous. There was no actual autopsy photos taken because there was no autopsy. And it was just a crude, nasty attack. 2023 was the year of court cases where things really started to ramp up. So the big event was the filing for bankruptcy. Now, it's suspected that the filing for bankruptcy was to put a stay on the two other federal court cases. The libel case with Eric Tenkar and the Wizards of the Court. Wizards of the Court. Wizards. They're going to be Wizards of the Court when they're done. The Wizards of the Coast case. So the bankruptcy filing, it's suspected that it was just a play to put a stay, because immediately once that stay went into place, the witness harassment and witness tampering began again. It had been halted. There was an order in the court to stop that, but right back to it. Now, this play to put a stay on these two other cases was poorly chosen, because fairly quickly there was motions supplied to say no. And so even though the stay was put in place, motions got put in place. Motions were submitted to the court, and those cases are not stayed. So it was a really piss poor tactic on the part of the CEO of New TSR. The bankruptcy case, the bankruptcy trustee has delayed that. It's not the quick 1 day in and out and it's over with. It's the trustee has petitioned the court to appoint lawyers to look after the interests of the estate of New TSR, under the idea that the statement in court was under the suspicion to look after the interests of New TSR in case there was any negligence or fraud by any New TSR employee. But since the narrative is the only employee is Justin Lanassa, it pretty much says that the trustee suspects Justin Lanassa of fraud and or negligence, one or the other. So therefore, there needs to be lawyers who can sue Justin on behalf of New TSR to recover money from him if there was fraud and if it's found that there was fraud and negligence. Now, someone in the New TSR orbit decided that the stays of the two federal cases, they could go back to harassing the federally subpoenaed witness. And we had more email attacks and more autopsy photos. There was a false report to Customs and Immigration that the pallets of paper to print a Kickstarter that were being imported from China by this witness for his business were being used to smuggle drugs, which has delayed the Kickstarter, but it has not stopped it altogether. It's only delayed it because, Customs has got to do their due diligence, but now they're looking at it as, okay, yeah. So this is only delayed it, but it's just a mean, nasty little, I'm going to ruin your business any way I can. There was attempts to call the venue that the witness had reserved to get it canceled, to cancel the reservation for a gaming convention by the witness. And again, this is all somebody in the new TSR orbit. We don't know who, because it's all done anonymously. We got some clarity, though, in the court cases. Now, we got some clarity in what was going on at TSR because of the bankruptcy case. Michael Hovermail submitted a text dump of all the text messages between him and Justin Lanassa. And we learned in that, it confirmed what we always suspected, that Ernie and Duck had indeed been investors in new TSR, but that they did not have anything in writing. And Justin, in the text dump, was bragging to Hovermail that he was not going to honor his deal with them, and they were going to lose their interest in the Dungeon Hobby Shop simply because they had nothing in writing. Justin and his lawyer were eventually forced to admit that Justin is a convicted criminal, but only under the threat of judicial sanction in the Eric Tenkar case, where he had alleged libel on Eric's part. However, now the libel was because Eric had called him a criminal. And the best defense against libel is the truth, that Eric had spoken the truth. Well, after they lied and lied and lied in court, they were eventually forced to admit the truth, that he was indeed a convicted criminal. And that criminal record is now public record in the court filings. It's no longer hidden away in some files in a courthouse. So thank you, Justin, for that. We got some clarity when Justin Lanassa's attorney agreed to have his client deposed in the libel case, but he failed to make a condition of that Eric Tenkar would be deposed. So Justin was deposed, Eric was not. This was a total incompetence on the part of Justin's lawyer. Now, Eric's lawyers then filed a motion and referenced the admission of Mr. Lanassa during the deposition that he admitted that he had indeed mailed Eric Tenkar the package of poop. Now, this is significant because if you're alleging libel, but you can be shown to have harassed the individual, and then you admit that the individual spoke the truth, you have no case. Your case is dismissed. Now, the other interesting thing about this admission concerning the package of poop, where Justin has admitted he mailed the package of poop, is, and I believe it was the Mario Gomez alt, referenced the mailing of the poop. Now, this is interesting because that means we can go back and find all of the posts, anything ever said by Mario Gomez can now be conclusively attributed to Justin Lanassa. So whatever Justin thought he could get away with saying as Mario Gomez, all the doxing, all of the harassment, all of the nasty things said, we can hang all of those things around the neck of Justin Lanassa. And I believe it was Mario Gomez. We also got clarity in the court filing in the Wizards case, where Justin whined about Wizards of the Coast dragging out the court proceedings and that it was bankrupting him, which is ironic in that he is reported to have bragged that he would sue people because they could not afford a lawyer, and he could. The irony is indeed deep here in that he sued a multi-million-dollar corporation that did $1 billion in sales during COVID, and he's now whining about being unable to pay the legal bill. Whose fault is that? Justin was a successful businessman with a cash and carry business, but it now appears that most, if not all, of his businesses were entangled with TSR. Now, I had said previously in a video that I believed all but his Museum of the Weird. I was then contacted by somebody who was like, oh, no. They asserted. Now, they didn't show me evidence, but I have seen evidence for, I think, every single other business to that go that entangled. I've seen evidence. So these businesses are unmasked and exposed to being gone after in all of these court cases. He's had trouble with departments of revenue in North Carolina. His Port City Vapor Cava oxygen bar was ordered closed by the state of North Carolina, and he was fined $20,000 for failure to collect sales tax. Now, this is interesting because we have heard there's an investigation going on in Wisconsin for failure to collect sales tax at the Dungeon Hobby Shop. So he's got tax problems going on. Now, his court case against Eric Tenkar, you've got the admission that he mailed poop, and he's admitted the truth that Eric's statement about him being a criminal is indeed true. It means his case has no grounds. He brought a case that has no grounds, and there's nothing left for it but a dismissal with prejudice, and he'll have to pay back Eric for his legal fees. Wizards will now be able to use in court the records in Eric's court case, and they'll be able to refer to him as an admitted criminal that lied to a federal court. Now, this is going to be important for Wizards because at some point in their court case, they have to deal with the affidavit submitted by Justin Lanassa, where he supplied a non-disclosure agreement purportedly signed by the witness against him, Don Samora. And they're, as they present the evidence and testimony of the handwriting expert, that this non-disclosure agreement is a forgery, and that it is most likely, according to the opinion of the handwriting expert, written by Justin Lanassa, they'll be able to say, well, Your Honor, we can't believe anything this guy says. He's admitted to lying to a federal court, and he has admitted that he is a criminal, a convicted criminal. You can't trust anything he says. So that then puts the whole preponderance of the evidence standard. It makes it a slam dunk for Wizards on that point. This whole thing of the NDA that was submitted in the affidavit was about discrediting the witness. So when you take the attempts to discredit the witness by lying to the court, and then you take all of the harassment, the attempted blackmail, and witness tampering that has gone on by somebody in the TSR camp, we don't know who, but somebody in that camp has been desperately afraid of what it is that this witness might testify to, or the records that this witness might bring to the court. So when you take all of that together, the lying to the court, with it's slam dunked on the preponderance of the evidence that it's going to be, the judge will just decide it's Justin. And then you take all of this harassment, blackmailing emails, harassing emails, witness attempts at witness tampering, and all of that's taken together. It's just not going to go well for Justin Lanassa in the Wizards case. And Wizards is certainly going to take the position of, Your Honor, you can't trust anything this guy says. He's an admitted liar. He lied all these times, documented here in this court case. And he's admitted to being a criminal. So yeah, we just can't trust him. And the judges, so any time that he's like, no, it's not true, or he tries to dispute something in that court case, the judge is just not going to believe him because he's already lied to another federal judge. Justin has probably sealed his own fate in the Wizards case, and he did it to himself. So 2024, there are going to be repercussions. There will be repercussions in all of his court cases that he initiated, and every business he has and every property he owns is in play for liens by the parties in these cases. Eric, Wizards, the bankruptcy. They can go after him to recover money, and somebody is most likely going to attempt to recover money. I mean, it's just going to happen. And you have to ask, who entangled his LLCs? He did. Who unmasked the LLC protections and put his own house at risk? He did. Who jeopardized the future of his own family? He did. He aspired to higher office, but the grits wrestling put an end to that. He aspired to a position of respect and prominence in our hobby, but he mired himself repeatedly in court cases he could not win. He aspired to be the savior of the OSR. No idea what the OSR needs to be saved from, but he aspired to this position, labeled himself this. But the one game product that he produced was not complete, had play balance problems, it's not edited, and is inappropriate for the ages that it claims to be recommended for. And he has continued to not fulfill the pre-sales. All the while, it appears that Mick Art Productions is selling off his stock for him at flea markets and street fairs. And it's especially shameful that he's failed to fulfill his pre-sales, because one of those pre-sales is his own father. Like, how low do you have to be to like just screw your own dad over for the money the guy invested in a pre-sale? I don't know, but it seems like pretty low to me. So how can anyone be a savior of the gaming community when they can't even produce a viable game and their company goes bankrupt in less than 2 years, 3 years? You've certainly lost the trust of those people who gave you pre-sales. They'll never trust you to be their savior. Our one true Lord Justin Lynette. Let me tell you about our one true Lord Justin Lynette. Nobody's going to trust this guy, and he aspires to be the savior of the gaming community. I don't even know what the gaming community needs to be saved from. You know, a cash and carry business worked for him when he stuck to being the operator of a tattoo parlor, where the artists rented a chair from him and he merely collected cash from them. But he has failed miserably trying to run a real business. His Port City Vapor Oxygen Bar, Kava Oxygen Bar, whatever the name is, was ordered closed by the state of North Carolina. His TSR company went bankrupt in 3 years. His legal woes are posed to take everything else down. Every other business is on the chopping block and is going to get taken down because of these legal woes that he instigated. He's the one who filed these court cases. 2024 looks like the year of consequences in court. He's not coming back from this. And even the small handful of Kool-Aid drinkers, Kool-Aid drinking supporters, are unlikely to stand with him when it all comes crashing down. He will be remembered as the clown that came to town, and we thought he might be someone to fear, but it turned out he was someone to jeer. So this is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room, signing out. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And don't forget that like, subscribe, and bell icon. This has been your TSR, new TSR in retrospective. All of the court cases, everything that's going on. It is all coming down. And Justin has nobody to blame but himself. He did this. He's done this to himself.